Hey, welcome to the Diabetes Remission Roadmap podcast with the two renegade pharmacists, Brian Bisher and Corey Jenks. You are listening to this because you are a person with type 2 diabetes who is committed and driven to breaking free from this diagnosis and creating a real, meaningful change in your health and life. In these episodes, we're here to help you ditch the scripts with doses of unconventional wisdom on topics such as fitness, nutrition, medication, mindset, and more. So without any further delay, let's dive right in.
And here we are again on another episode of the Diabetes Remission Roadmap podcast. Brian, the numbers keep going up. We can't help it. It just keeps going up, which means you are all sharing this podcast with the people who want it, who need it, who crave it. Brian, how warm is your heart right now?
My heart's so warm, Corey, and it's cold outside, so that's awesome that my heart is warm. And yeah, the numbers do keep going up. I almost didn't believe it when I saw that we had about a fourth of the downloads all of last year within the first 2 weeks of the year. So that's me.
This being 2026.
Yeah,
if
2026.
if you're listening to this at some future date. Brian, people love statistics, and I'm going to hit you with some those are some great podcast statistics. And please keep sharing, subscribing, sending us comments, questions. We're collecting questions for our next FAQ episode. We have some fun guests scheduled. So we're going to keep evolving this because you all are just keeping the wind in our sails. But Brian, you gave some podcast statistics, which are not super relevant to the people listening because they want earnest, actionable diabetes statistics. And I have some sobering ones. And that's that 72% of people in America are overweight, 41% are obese, 14% have diabetes, 43% have pre-diabetes. And we need to fix this. And there's a new fix in as of January 2026, Brian. If you have not heard, our dietary guidelines have got a makeover. For those of us raised in the food pyramid era, the food pyramid has been flipped upside down, literally flipped upside down. And so we're going to talk about that. What does it mean for your blood sugar? What does it mean for our country, our world? And what can you do? Because for me, for the first time in decades, I think the dietary guidelines for America, we're in America. We saw those listeners outside of America. This is America, are inching toward what I would like to call biological reality. What humans are meant to actually consume. There's a catch though, Brian, because implementation is everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just because they put it out there doesn't mean it's actually going to happen, right? But hopefully now, at least with this guidance, more of school, I'm just hoping schools have to implement these things that are governed by our government and the guidance of dietary guidelines, maybe nursing homes, hospitals,
or military, any government institution.
Yeah.
So if you send your kids to school and they get school lunch like mine get, maybe they will get something more nutritious. So what's actually in these guidelines? And this is, our episodes were brief. We could spend 13 hours on this, but we're not going to do that to you. We're going to give you the highlights. So I think the big win, the huge win is it's sad that this is a win, that it has to be acknowledged on our government guidelines, but it's eat real food. It's the first time that the real acknowledgement that ultra-processed foods are a problem. And you could look at some of the different studies, but you could match macronutrients, proteins, carbs, and fats. But if someone is giving something that's ultra-processed, made in a factory, in a package, you're going to eat more of it. And one of the things that we really preach is a satiety-first approach. And what ultra-processed foods do is that they hijack your hunger and satiety and make you eat more of it. Brian, are you pumped that we are now we are now encouraged to eat real food?
Yeah, I can't believe it. I mean, you always hear those stories pushed on documentaries well, you can still lose weight with eating ultra processed foods as long as you're in a calorie deficit. And I agree, because it's a calorie deficit, but that just neglects the fact that food is still a signal in our body. And if you're, this is an extreme example, but there was a guy on this documentary, I can't remember which one specifically, but talked about how he lost weight on an all Twinkie diet or something like that. It's just
I've heard about this guy. Yeah, the Twinkie guy.
The Twinkie guy, right? But how much did that guy suffer beyond just the weight loss? I mean, he probably had, I'm guessing, hunger pangs all the time, because who gets filled up on a Twinkie? No one. I would imagine, I know I would be having mood swings left and right because my blood sugar would just be a roller coaster throughout the day. I'm sure he had brain fog. I'm sure he had uh, all these other negative consequences of just eating an ultra processed diet, even though he lost some weight. Granted, gave him that to prove a point, but it neglects the fact that food is a messenger. It triggers our hormones. It, obviously raises your blood sugar, and what happens to your blood sugar will then determine your mood and your hunger level and how you treat everyone else around you. So, Corey, what are your thoughts on the Twinkie diet and just the fact that the
I think the Twinkie diet has nothing to do with the guidelines because they're not including them anymore because it says eat real food and limit ultra processed foods. I'm not gonna go down the rabbit hole of every weird diet that people have done. There's the potato diet, there's all these weird ones. We live in the real world. We want this to be sustainable. Maybe you'd love to eat nothing but Twinkies the rest of your life, but my guess is you don't. So what can we do to eat real food for the rest of our lives that controls our blood sugar? And the truth is, it's very hard to overeat real food. Broccoli, chicken, steak, hamburgers, a baked potato, very hard to overeat. It's when we start manipulating and over processing these foods. You take a potato, you slice it up, you fry it, you cover it in salt and pepper and seasonings, and you make every chip a little bit different, then you can overeat that. So if we're avoiding these over processed foods, ultra processed foods, it's very hard to overeat. And I can tell you from seeing my kids' school lunches what they qualify as a vegetable, what they qualify as a protein, are often wrapped up in very ultra processed, easy to overeat ways. So I think the big key here is if it comes in a package and has a long list of ingredients, generally it's not as strong of a choice as something that's a single or two ingredient food. So eat real food. If we stop there and we implemented that, I think the country as a whole would have better blood sugar, better weight, better moods, be stronger. But there's some other specifics in the guidelines I want to get into. And one is that we are not afraid of protein anymore. So the specific recommendation is 1.2 to 1.6 grams per kilogram per pound per kilogram of body weight in protein a day. And what this means for people with type 2 diabetes is we talk about protein so much that if you ever had a drinking game where we said protein, you would all have alcohol poisoning. So don't do that. But protein keeps us fuller longer. It keeps us from overeating. It stabilizes blood sugar. And for so long, we were kind of told to be afraid of protein. And this is in healthy individuals. If you have kidney disease, work with your provider. This is not medical advice. We have the disclaimer at the end of the show. But what this means for people with diabetes is that we're going to emphasize protein consumption. We're going to stabilize glucose. We're going to preserve muscle mass. Remember our metabolic sink. So yeah, we're in for protein now, Brian. Woo!
finally, they're putting it in water. Literally,
Yeah,
I saw protein water at Target the other day,
we
which by the way,
know.
if you're looking for all the health uh nuanced things at your grocery store and you got some money to spend, Target is your place to go because they have all the niche health wellness products from protein water all the way to mushroom coffee. Because I don't have a Whole Foods where I live anymore, Corey, and I am sad, but
Well, that's
Target
good
might
news,
be my
Brian,
new.
because we emphasize whole food over supplements anyway. Isn't that right? And a
Yeah.
pinch of a protein shake is great, but we'd rather you eat a real food because that real food triggers as you're chewing satiety and fullness, maybe more so than a protein shake or a bar. But if it's a protein shake or a bar versus a bag of chips, then we're doing great. So it's
Yeah.
all relative.
I was talking about Whole Foods and store, but yes.
I know what you're talking about, and
Oh,
I was trying to make a point about eating literal whole
oh
foods,
yeah, yeah,
because even at Whole Foods you can find ultra processed foods, and if you're not confused yet, we'll stop talking about that. But
yeah,
in short, what I think and honestly, the new guidelines I love because it kind of backs everything we've been talking about is eat some protein with each meal. That will help stabilize your sugar, stabilize your hunger, preserve muscle mass, thus creating a great cycle of metabolic sink where your sugar can go into. And I think this recommendation is going to help a lot of people's blood sugar, Brian.
yeah. It's amazing that they've avoided it for so long, the evidence behind it. One cool fact about protein that I think the listeners will appreciate is that it also aids fat loss in the sense that it takes calories, takes energy to metabolize protein. So it's not like carbs and fat. Those are energy sources where we talk about in the masterclass. Protein is nutrition. Your body needs that nutrition and it's going to break down that nutrition, but it requires energy to do so. And so it's what we call thermogenic, where it creates heat and it can help put you in a further calorie deficit. So I think that's another cool thing about protein is that remember the overall goal here is to reverse energy toxicity And to do that, you must be in an energy deficit, aka calorie deficit. And protein is going to help you do that by keep staying full, avoiding the snack cabinet, and just yeah, keeping you stable throughout the day. So
What Brian's trying to say is when you eat protein, it takes more energy for your body to digest it than carbs and fats. So it's like a double bonus effect when you eat protein is that you're actually burning more calories
yeah,
for eating food. Not that,
yeah,
and we're never going to say like you're in a negative calorie deficit because you ate a chicken breast. That's not the case. We're not saying that. What we're saying is it takes more energy for your body to process the protein laden foods, which is just another incentive to focus on that. So next we're going to talk about carbs briefly. And the emphasis here is on uh, whole versus refined. And we want whole food, fiber rich carbs, which for me, because refined grains and carbs are really sugar in disguise. Um, and what I like here is we're not saying that we have to have whole grains, but we do need fiber. And so for me, the carbs coming in the form of vegetables and some fruit, you're going to get more fiber. It's a whole food, whereas refined carbs, like Brian and I we may not see eye to eye all the time on carbs, but I will say less refined grains, less breads, less pastas, less bagels. If you're going to have a carb, like whole food source, like a potato that isn't soaked in butter and sour cream. Uh, and here's the thing: there's nuance within this. So they give dietary guidelines for an entire country of people made up of individuals with individual biology and responses to foods. So Brian, do you think it's a good idea to say all potatoes are good or all potatoes are bad, or should we actually look at see what happens when we eat some of these carby foods and how our blood sugar responds?
yeah. I think it's the latter for sure. You definitely should look at your blood sugar and see how it responds to certain foods, specifically potatoes or whatever else you're eating, just to let that inform your decision. And I mean, another thing, like you're getting fiber, but you're also getting more nutrients, all the other good things your body needs to function at its highest level. So a lot of things that are void from the processed carbs. Um,
Satiety, you're getting satiety from
yeah,
fiber as well. So
yeah.
great. Well, there's a really great lever to pull with the guidelines that I'm all for. And it really is they take a really strong stance on sugar and they say no added sugar under age 4, which thank you. Can we tell every birthday party that now? And they really call it sugar sweetened beverages because and anytime you're drinking sugar, I just don't see a benefit other than unless your sugar is crashing and you're having hypoglycemia. So we're talking sodas, juices, even sports drinks are laden with sugar. And you it basically, there's no fiber to slow its digestion. It raises your sugar very quickly. And so I find it hard to argue against no drinking of any sugar. Brian, am I wrong here?
No. So you're telling me that my kid doesn't need 60 grams of sugar after a soccer game, Corey? Come on. I
I
mean, that's
am
what,
ruining soccer now. There is actually there if there was any reasons left to play soccer, they're gone now because the after game snack full of sugar. No, I'm kidding. If people like soccer, you can like it. I'm an ugly American. I like good old fashioned concussion causing American football here. But yeah, so if you, I will say with people we've taken care of, the ones that are drinking added sugar, a lot of it when they can cut it out, it is like very quick how much blood sugar can come down. So I also think it's kind of sad we needed guidelines to tell us not to drink sugary stuff, but that's what they say now. I think that's amazing. And if you own stock in sugar beverage companies, it I can't give investment advice because I'll get in trouble. But
they're
you
making
know,
protein water now. They're good.
they're making
Uh,
protein. That's right. They're switching to protein water. So, um, as far as artificial sweeteners, this is a whole other episode. We could talk about it, several episodes. Not a free pass, maybe some concerns about your gut microbiome. But here's the deal. I think diet soda, diet drinks are a great tool if you are consuming a lot of sugar sweetened beverages. We don't let perfect be the enemy of good around here, Brian. So for those drinking regular soda, if you're able to switch to diet and any if you're drinking it in large amounts, I see a lot of improvement when people are able to do that.
If you're listening to this and thinking, this is exactly what I need, but I'll deal with it at my next doctor's appointment, I want to lovingly call out something important. Waiting 6 months for someone to glance at your labs isn't a plan, it's a gamble. Your blood sugar doesn't pause until your next visit, your habits don't magically change on their own, and you don't need another rushed conversation where you walk out with more questions than answers. If you want clarity, real personal clarity on what's driving your numbers and how to turn them around, grab a blood sugar clarity call with us. It's free, it's personalized, and it gives you a plan you can act on right away, long before your next appointment rolls around. Just head to the show notes and tap the link to book your call. Don't wait for someone else to set the pace for your health. Take the next step while you've got the momentum.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't let perfect be the enemy of good. It's definitely a tool to keep. Now let's just wrap this up with like, did you have anything else you want to cover? Is there any other categories?
Whole food fats, don't fear them. We no longer have to fear fat, but I also don't want you drinking butter coffee or cream. Like, don't be poor. Like, you should not have sugar sweetened beverages. You should not have fat laden beverages. I think the natural fat that comes along with a lot of the proteins that we eat is just fine, and some of the fatty fruits like avocados. But and you're gonna cook in some
No,
some fats, but a lot of added fats are actually just you're getting them in ultra processed foods.
yeah, and I want to ask for their sake, like, but the fat doesn't affect my blood sugar, Corey. Like, why is it a big deal if I have butter in my coffee? It's my blood sugar doesn't budge when I do that.
I think again the goal here is to reverse our energy toxicity. And so fat is very concentrated energy. You get not it's 9 calories per gram of fat, 4 calories per gram of carbs. So it's much easier to overconsume fat. Again, I think we've gone from an extreme of low fat everything. So we had ultra processed sugary foods, which were terrible for us. And we've had sort of the keto revolution, which said, remember, there's a great book, The Big Fat Surprise by Nina Teicholz. Highly recommend it. I think the specific concerns over fat may have been overblown. So now, what society does is we swing hard one way, we swing hard the other. So we had a large keto revolution with a lot of people consuming a lot of extra added fat, and some of the issues I see with people doing that is stalling with their sugar and weight loss. There's a happy middle ground here where we dial down the added sugars and carbs, we dial down the added fats, and we eat in a way that's satisfying and enjoyable. Brian, does that satisfy your query?
It does. Yeah, it does satisfy my query. Now let's leave this episode with some implementation strategies like we always do. Here's one thing you can do. Like, what is that, Corey? So I saw the guidelines, the pyramid's flipped. Yay. Now I just see that maybe the posts are starting to decrease on social media, but pyramid's flipped. What do I do about it? How do I revamp my kitchen?
Mhm.
Because I can tell, let me just, before you answer, I'll say this, like Corey and I have been eating like this pyramid way for a long time now. Like it's just been something we've adopted over years and years of listening to our body and getting feedback. I will say I've made it very simple for myself, like with just some, I mean, we got the Costco list. You can always grab that.
We have a
But just
Walmart
like
list now too.
Walmart list, the simpler you can keep this, the more likely you're going to be able to stay consistent with it. So for me, it's like I just always have some kind of vegetable on hand, like carrots, salad, I ground meat. I have some kind of ground meat I can have cooked, pre-cooked, and just ready to go. I have sauces that are tasty, but also like 0 calorie. Like my favorites are hot sauce and mustard, spicy mustard if I want to mix it up. Like just mix all that together and call it a meal. You don't have to be a chef, a super chef in the kitchen to eat this certain way. You don't have to follow all the Pinterest recipes. You don't have to make anything fancy you see on Instagram. Like all these recipes honestly give me anxiety. I'm like looking at the steps. I'm like,
They're,
yeah,
they
that looks
they are
cool.
they are recipes designed to make you eat more of it. Okay,
Yeah.
so ultra processing of food. So when we make a meal for people coming over, we want to make it as tasty as possible because we want people to eat more of it. This is what companies do. Only my incentive is I want my friends to come back. Their incentive is to make money off you. So Brian, very good. I love the idea of simplicity. And these guidelines don't mean anything if we don't implement them. And so I think some of the limitations are environment is still full of ultra processed foods that are very addicting. Convenience often beats intention, so you have to work on your environment. So fix your systems. What do you have in the house? Like as Brian said, we're going to do a whole episode on what's called the buffet effect. And the buffet effect just means that when we have more variety, we're prone to overeat. So keeping things simple, limiting your options, and from a like the guideline pyramid standpoint, start with a protein, add a vegetable, fill in with some fruit and whole food carbs. That's for 90% of your meals, it can be that simple. And for thousands of years, that's all we were able to do until we were able to create these Franken foods that are super addicting. So, in short, I think Brian and I'm going to speak for Brian because we're running out of time here. I think he's on board with what the guidelines look like. I think that following them are going to put people in a much better place than the old food pyramid that we were raised on as kids. But it comes down to implementing. And as Brian said, we have some tools. We have a Costco grocery list. We have a Walmart grocery list. I think they're great bases to start from. But I'm just excited for our country in the sense that we have, I think, better guidance that are going to help people eat more healthily and avoid blood sugar problems. So Brian is out of words, so I'll speak for him. Thank you. No, we fit this into our busy lives, and he's about on the way out. Any last words, Brian, for this episode?
No, you got it, Corey. You
All
can
right,
speak
great.
for me anytime.
Thank you. No, and I do. So thank you for listening to this episode of the Diabetes Remission Roadmap podcast. Send us your feedback. What do you think of the guidelines? Is there anything that you'd like us to go deeper on? I know this was a quick overview. We love to go deeper on subjects, but we're trying to provide as much useful information to as many people as possible. Share it with a friend, share it with a neighbor, and make sure to rate and review us. It helps more eyeballs get on it. And like I said, the numbers are going up and we love it. So our goal is to have the numbers of this podcast go up and our collective blood sugar numbers go down. Until next time, take care and tell us what you're eating off the pyramid.
If this episode gave you clarity or hope, share it with one friend who's been stuck in the diabetes trap. That's how this mission grows. One person, one family, one story at a time. And if you haven't yet, leaving a quick review helps more people find the show and realize they're not stuck with meds forever. It takes less than a minute and it means the world to us. Thanks for being here and thanks for being part of this movement toward freedom. Thanks for listening to the Diabetes Remission Roadmap. The ideas discussed here are for general informational purposes only and do not constitute medical or nutritional advice. We are pharmacists, but we're not your personal healthcare providers. Always consult your own physician or qualified clinician before changing medications, exercise routines, or nutrition plans. Results vary, and what works for one person may not work for another.